So what is now characterizing Zeeland as a province? I would say two things. One is fighting the water, which has been going on for centuries. From the early beginning, when this place, Walcheren, was still an island, people were building dikes, trying to get their feet, dry. And the second thing is fighting exterior enemies. And during these ages, there were Spanish, French and German. And in one instance, like exactly here in this place, that came together, that struggle came together. Because here in 1944 it was important for the Allies to free these banks of the coastline from the Germans, so that the harbor of Antwerp could be freed and could serve as a supply harbor for the Allied forces. And therefore it was important to free this part of the Germans. And to do so, they decided to bombard exactly these dikes here, or actually dunes as it were at that moment. Now it's replaced by basalt blocks dikes, but at that time it were dunes. And you can still see the remaining, so a bit more to the inward lands. There's now a lake that came from the strong water flows that followed this bombardment, and the flooding that followed the bombardment. In that flooding, not only Germans were killed and were going to flee, but in fact also a lot of Dutch civilians were killed. So this is a typical example where fighting water and fighting exterior enemies came together. This lake here on the left is close to Westkapelle, and it's made as a consequence of the bombardments by the Allies on the dunes of Westkapelle. And this was all to put Walcheren underwater in 1944, when it was occupied by the Germans, and to chase them out basically. Now we will see the tower of Westkapelle, which was first like a church tower, and while the top was destroyed, a big lighthouse was installed on top, and it just made it. Soon enough, Westkapelle is not so big, so that we enter the city center right away. And here we have some really small houses. A bit further away there's a pottery. So really characteristic shops and artisans places, but most interested we are in this part. what Westkapelle experienced during the Second World War. And still we have the small houses, like 2 levels, and here the square, the market square. Many flags also, because it's Liberation Day. And now approaching the statue of Tank. Is not only where you can get excellent patat frites, but also website here, which is about Westkapelle and its history.